Howdy, y'all. I'm Clay.
I'm Lloyd.
And this is Iron Sharpening Iron with the Kahler Boys.
Today is the 20th.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
No, it can't be.
June 20th.
June 20th.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, yesterday was March.
I know. Yesterday was Leslie's birthday, and it just seemed like last week we celebrated her 8th birthday.
Spider's birthday.
Yep.
How old is she?
Well, that's the crazy part. It seemed like just last week where I was helping her mama build this castle cake that was a chore to build. We worked on that bad.
Right. Yeah. Well, she's a princess. So
and that was the whole thing. That was the whole. It looked like a castle. It was cool. That just seemed like yesterday, dude. And then she turned 22.
22. Goodness,
22.
man.
And I told her,
You're too young. 2-year-old and a sailor.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, well, you know that you can't buy alcohol. She's like, I can buy alcohol last year. I said, they changed the law. Now
that's right.
It's 25 now.
Now you got to be 42.
Yeah, she laughed.
Oh, man. Well,
luckily she doesn't drink a lot of alcohol.
Right. I got a pile of things to talk about. But before we do that, I wanted to jump into scripture of the day. How about that?
All
right. Excuse me. Goodness.
I got to show off my photo today, too.
Yeah, you do. You absolutely do. Cool. You absolutely do.
Really cool picture.
I'm going to apologize to anyone watching because today is a drainage day.
Then y'all got bad plumbing. You know what that means.
Exactly. I'm telling you, man. All right. We're in Ephesians chapter 4. I love this verse. I've always loved this verse. And I was thinking back. I don't know if we've done this verse before on our podcast. But if we did, suck it up. Because we're going to do it again.
Yeah. There's a reason why you come up with these.
Yeah.
There's just a reason.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not questioning. It's just, let's go with it.
Ephesians 4, starting in verse 1, Paul says this. He says, I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, listen to this, beseech you to walk worthy of the calling with which you were called, with all lowliness and gentleness, with long suffering, I love this, bearing with one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There's one body, one Spirit, just as you were called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. One. Unity. But my favorite part of this verse, it's heavy. This is heavy. Paul says, I therefore, prisoner of the Lord, beseech you, I'm begging you, walk worthy of the calling with which you were called. If you are a person who calls yourself a child of God, if you've trusted in the gospel,
right?
If you are adopted into the family of God, live up to the family name.
Amen.
Walk worthy of this calling that you have on your life. That's a tall order.
Don't drop it like it's hot on Saturday night and then raise your hands and pray on Sunday morning.
That is a tall order.
Still smelling like whatever you're just pounding away Saturday night.
That is, it's impossible. It's impossible to live up to this in and of yourself.
Right.
But I can do all things through Christ.
That's right. Who strengthens me. All things.
And then he goes from this massive command. Notice what he says next. Walk worthy of the calling with which you were called, with all lowliness, that's humility, gentleness, and long-suffering, listen to this, bearing with one another in love. There's some of y'all in the church that it takes a lot to bear with you. But we've got to. We absolutely have to. C.S. Lewis said one time in one of I think it was in his book, The Great Divorce. He said, I always thought this was interesting. He said, there's no such thing as an ordinary Christian. He said, think of the Christian that gets on your nerves the most. You know who I'm talking about. He says the guy that's got bad manners, bad grammar, bad breath.
Yeah, bad timing.
Yeah. Paul said, not Paul, C.S. Lewis said, if you saw this guy as he will be when God is finished with him, you would be tempted to fall down and worship him.
Right. The lowliest of, the worst of.
Yeah. So, there is that person in your church or in your life that is a child of God, a brother or sister in Christ that is the most irritating human being that you know. And Paul says, love them and bear with them. You're going through a list in your mind right now. And I'm probably at the top of it.
Do all things. I can do anything. I can't even speak right now.
Oh man!
No, I don't have a lot of people in my life or in my circle
that you have to tolerate.
Yeah,
right.
I don't.
That's because you're very selective about who you allow in your circle.
True enough.
Show them your picture, man.
Man, I was at work this morning, and I was driving around doing my little checking on doors and whatnot, and the sun was coming up, and there is no painter greater than the master.
Amen.
Greater than the Creator.
Amen.
And our local Christian radio station, as you know,
yep,
has somebody donated everything that needs to be donated,
including the land.
Yes, and put this cross up coming from Wichita Falls to Burkburnett.
And by the way, this picture is a phenomenal picture, but this picture does not give you an idea of how big this cross is.
This bad boy is big, yeah. But anyway, as good as you can see it here on the deal there.
Look at that. Oh, that's fantastic.
That turned out so cool.
I'm telling you.
I sent it to a friend of mine. I go to church with Mike Warner. If you watch, you need to watch. Anyway, I sent it to him, and he told me to send it to the local radio station because they're looking for pictures for a calendar. And I thought, man, that sure ought to be somewhere in the old calendar.
That's the cover.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Man, it's their cross.
If that makes the cover.
That'd be twice.
That's twice that I've made the cover of a calendar. Well, my photo.
I was gonna say you weren't in either of the photos, but
that's what made them good.
That's right.
I was on this side of the camera.
Tell them about the first one.
The first one,
because I love this story,
dude. That first one, my wonderful bride, as y'all know, she has suffered through a couple.
I got strokes. The Kleenex ready if you need it.
No, I'm good. Suffered through a couple strokes, and before the strokes, we were quite the outdoors couple.
Oh yeah.
We went
massive duck hunters.
Oh yeah, duck hunting, deer hunting, any kind of hunting.
Yeah, she
was in on it, and she got her license every year. She shot my old 20 gauge pump,
right?
And of course, after the stroke, that things changed.
Sure.
And but after she recovered from the stroke, the first one, she just wanted to go back hunting.
Yeah.
And I may need a Kleenex. No, I'm just kidding. She just wanted to go back hunting, and man, I can. You and me both can relate to that.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine if that's taken away?
Oh no.
You just want to go back, and so it was after duck season,
right?
And no, we weren't killing ducks. We were looking.
I'm gonna say you went out there unarmed.
I went out there unarmed, and I called the game warden.
Yeah,
I knew him well. He's retired now, and the
old Pat
Canan.
Yeah,
he was just a super good guy. Told him what I was doing, and he's like, "You're fine,"
Yeah.
And we went out there with a thermos full of her favorite hot chocolate, and spread a blanket out. And man, did the Lord pour the ducks out that morning!
Isn't that something?
And we just watched ducks land.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, when the sun was coming up, I took a picture of her.
Yeah.
And she was just staring out at the pond.
Right.
And it was just like a profile picture watching the ducks. You could see the in the background. And I sent that picture to this calendar. I can't even remember what it was.
It was like North Texas Hunting Association or something like that.
Anyway, I sent it. It was a hunting calendar, and they were wanting photos of your best hunts.
Yeah.
And your game.
And the story.
And so I sent them and said, this has to be my favorite hunt. And we didn't even take a gun, and it was not in season. And we went out to watch, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
We went out and bird watched. And I told them the story about her stroke and that she just wanted to get back hunting.
Yeah.
And they put her on the cover. And it was, and they titled it "Return to the Pond."
And that's fantastic.
Oh man!
See, I'm tearing up.
Oh, dude, yeah, it was pretty good.
I'm
pretty good. I got a cover girl.
Yeah, you do. Hey, you want to hear something? It's funny, but it's funny in its stupidity. Okay, this is one of my things that I've got set up to talk about today. About 6 months ago, I get in the mail a jury summons. Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
So I get a jury summons in the mail. And have you ever been summoned to a jury?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Okay. I didn't mean as a defendant.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
So I get this jury summons about 6 months ago, and I filled out all the stuff, and I showed up. And the very first day of the process, the judge says, if you're here today and you feel like you have a reason that you're not suitable to serve on a jury, get in line, come up to the bench and explain it to me. And I know the judge personally. He knows me because of what I do for a living. So I get in line and I wait and I wait and I finally get up to the bench, and he says, "Hey Clay, how you doing?" I said, "I'm good, Judge." And he says, "So why do you think you should be excused from jury duty?" I said, "Well, Your Honor, I'm a private investigator. I work in Wichita County. I know most of the attorneys that'll be coming through your courtroom. Just seems to me like conflict of interest."
Sure.
And the judge says, maybe not. I'm going to have you go through the process. All right. So next day I come back, sit there all day, nothing happens. Next day I come back, third day, and it comes down to voir dire. Voir dire is where the attorneys get to ask you questions. And it's my turn, and I stand up, and the judge says, state your name and occupation and all that stuff, and I do. And the judge says, he says, so do you know or are you connected with anybody involved in this case? And so I went through the list. I said, well, Judge, I said, you and I know each other pretty well. I've been before you several times and whatnot. And I said, Mr. Lesser, the prosecutor, I've gone up against him several times in the court. I said, and Mr. Rafuse, the defense attorney, I'm working 3 cases for him right now. And oh, by the way, Mr. Lesser's investigator is my nephew, Johnny. And so I was dismissed.
Yeah.
Look what I got this week. I've been summoned again for jury duty. And so now they have online where you can fill out a jury excuse. I filled out a jury excuse. 30 minutes later, I get back. Your excuse has been denied.
So you got to go through the process
I got through it again. Oh, my gosh. It's hilarious. And for those that don't know, as a private investigator, I'm in that courthouse all the time.
Well, and you're tied to so many. There ought to be something in our system where people in your line of work would not be included.
But you would think that. But stop and think about it. On Donald Trump's jury, there were 2 lawyers.
I can understand that more than I can you, because you have an opportunity to be connected to both sides.
Yeah.
In both positive and negative ways.
Correct.
You may have presented something in a case that beat that prosecutor,
mm-hmm.
or helped the prosecution in whatever evidence. Right. So you're in a unique position. And in Donald Trump's case, the amount of people that they pulled from is we're not New York.
Yeah.
So the odds of them how many lawyers are in New York versus how many lawyers are in Wichita County?
Right.
The odds of those lawyers being tied to cases that you are intertwined with is slim and none. And the chances of those lawyers having a nephew as the prosecutor's lead investigator is slim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So the scenario is way, way different. So, but
it still seemed odd to me, though,
things like that.
You had 2 lawyers out of 12 people on that jury.
Yeah, a lot of that.
That's a setup.
Every bit of
it. Every bit of it.
These people are driven by greed.
Oh.
And it's obvious. It's
power.
It's obvious.
Power.
And which I guess comes greed. The greed is, you're greedy for the power.
Yeah.
But the dude, I don't know the dude's name. The dude that stepped down from the number 3 position,
and
took a dock and pay to show up and be somebody else's
assistant. Yeah. All right. So let's
somebody else's assistant.
Let's flesh this out. This fellow was number 3 in charge of the DOJ, the Federal Department of Justice. You got Merrick Garland.
When you're working, you start out.
You got Merrick Garland at the top. You got another fellow, his deputy directly below him. Then you have this guy, and he resigned from that position, moved to New York, became number 2 under Alvin Bragg, and tried this case against Donald Trump.
And it wasn't like, the way, I don't know.
That'd be like me being the deputy chief of police in Wichita Falls and I moved to Burke Burnett to become a sergeant
or an officer.
Or an officer, yeah.
Even I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It's such a cut in rank. I mean, you think about what a career-driven somebody that they get out of school and they're like, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this.
I'm going to be the attorney general.
Or whatever it is, whatever career you're in. We'll take Frank. We'll just get out of law enforcement. We'll take Frank for an example.
Yeah.
Frank started out sweeping the floor during high school.
And retired as executive vice president in charge of international sales.
Yeah, and he worked his way up, and that's what he was trying to do. Why would you get in such a high position and drop back
and then
down
go back
unless it was feeding some greed somewhere?
Well,
it was feeding it's feeding the machine.
He's going to go down in history as the guy that prosecuted and won against a former president of the United States. That's it.
And what a sad spot in history he's going to have.
Oh, yeah.
And, I have heard, I'm not a lawyer. I'm the furthest thing from it. You're way closer to a lawyer than I am, and you're not one.
No, I'm not.
But I've heard a lot of these experts, they're having congressional hearings on this different stuff now.
Right.
And, the appeal just seems like it's a slam dunk.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything, even the experts on the other side are the experts that are for convicting him.
Yeah.
They can't say what
nobody knows what he was convicted of. Nobody knows.
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
It's either something to do with taxes or something to do with
campaign
election fraud.
Finance.
But they're all not tied in, and you don't have to be. It's not unanimous consent.
Right.
They wouldn't tell him what he was being charged with until the day that they gave jury instructions.
Right.
That's due process. I mean, none of it makes sense.
Well,
it all had to be on paper. The plan was not to jail him.
It was to tie him up so he couldn't campaign.
And also put such a huge, you're been convicted of 34 felonies.
Yep.
And you can't run for president. Nobody's going to vote for you. You're a convicted felon 34 times.
Now you're leading into something else I've got.
Okay. All right. Well, then, and so I think that was the plan. I really do. And then it really kind of backfired on him.
Yeah, it did. All right. This is a picture I took off the TV. I was watching the news last night, and this is a picture I took off the TV. I'm going to go over this so you don't have to read it, but if you want to, you can pause it and read over that real quick. This is a poll. Now, this is off of Fox News, but it's a Wall Street Journal poll of 1,500 registered voters. Okay, so that's important. They're registered voters. It's not just random citizens who aren't going to. These are folks that are registered voters.
Somebody's going to make a difference when it comes to voting.
Here's the question that they asked, all right? Between Trump and Biden, who is better to handle this issue? And there's a list of issues. Check this out. Economy. Biden, 35%. Trump, 52%.
Well, you look at our economy. According to Biden and his stooges, we were at 9% which is a lie. We were at 1.9.
1 point, yeah. And here's the thing, man. You look at the cost of eggs,
the cost of
gas,
everything.
Bread. Yeah. 4 years ago, gas was $1.97 a gallon.
Yeah.
Today, it's nearly $4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made my bride a sandwich the other day.
Yeah.
And she says, "Man, this bread is good." And I felt so guilty because I splurged this week and bought the name brand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Check you out.
That's a splurge.
Man.
The only reason I did is because they had it on sale, though. I'm not even going to lie. They had it on sale. I make a fair wage. I make a decent living, but we have to make sure that things we buy are on sale.
I'm going to apologize to our viewers right now for my brother's braggadocious ways and sitting here rubbing it in your face that he got a name brand loaf of bread.
Only this week. It was so unexpected and rare that Brandy noticed. She was like, "Man, this bread is good."
Oh, yeah.
I felt guilty.
Yeah.
I felt horrible. What have I been feeding her? What have I been feeding her, man?
Cardboard up to this point. So the economy, Trump 52, Biden 35. Now, it's interesting because just at a glance, you would think, wait a minute, aren't these two things really connected? And there's a connection there, but they are two different things. Inflation, Trump 51, Biden 30. Okay, that is a 21-point spread between
That's
Biden and Trump. Okay.
huge.
By the way, this poll was taken after the conviction.
Right.
The reason that the economy and inflation are two separate things. The economy is the consistent state of our finances. Inflation is watching those prices rise. So economy takes into account
our dollar. Watch our dollar week.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when you print,
you haven't
when you print money because you want to,
just because. Yeah, it's because you want to ship it overseas.
Or
$47 million a week to Afghanistan.
Dude, I heard that. I heard about it was to the
a week.
Everybody that the mortar or the family of the people that died.
Yeah,
we're paying them.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Yeah,
up to 80 million a week.
Isn't it amazing?
Up to 80 million. They're sending plane loads of tax dollars money.
Yeah,
and we have nothing to say about it.
Yeah,
nothing. What about the families of the
vast majority?
What about the families of the U.S. soldiers that died?
The 13 that died at the gate? Yeah.
What about all of them that died in the conflict?
Right. But the vast majority of people aren't even aware of it. So
I know. Because I found out about it about 2-3 days ago, and I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was blown away. And you know what? I was like, man, maybe that's, you just can't believe everything.
So here's an example of the difference between economy and inflation. From the time that Trump left office and Biden took office, you didn't receive a demotion. You didn't receive a cut in pay.
No.
As a matter of fact, you got a raise or two in that time, and yet your dollar has not gone. Doesn't go as far.
No,
as
the power of my dollar is less. Way less.
This one kind of shocked me. It surprised me. Crime. Trump 47%, Biden 30%. Now, I find it interesting. What shocked me is I would have thought that 47 would be a whole lot higher.
I would too.
When it comes to, because again,
you just look at the democratically run states.
Oh,
and then crime is so rampant, and then they say the Biden administration says that it's down, but if you really dig into why it's down,
right?
Well, because they changed the rules.
Yeah, it's not that crime is down; it's the reporting of crime is down.
Well, they've neglected to report, and the FBI or whatever 3-letter agency collects that data has said that's okay. You don't have to report them.
Right.
Well, and all it is it's just deployed.
And prosecutions are down.
Well, because they refuse to prosecute.
Exactly.
And they call that cooking the books.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they call that.
Yeah, if this were finances, somebody would go to jail.
No.
Well, I'm saying if in the general public.
There you go. In the general public, absolutely.
So, did you hear about the new law that? By the way, this is something you brought up, and I corrected you on a couple of months ago on the podcast. And now, all of a sudden, apparently, you're a prophet because now it's true.
Okay.
Did you hear about the new law that the governor of Washington State just signed into law?
No.
Seattle Police Department is at 50% strength, and they cannot find candidates. And so the governor of Washington signed into law this week a law that says you no longer have to be a citizen of the United States in order to be a police officer.
California's already done that.
Well, now,
months ago.
Well, California months ago said immigrants could be police officers. And you were thinking illegal immigrants, but it was actually legal immigrants. Now, Washington State, they're saying illegal immigrants can be cops.
Well,
couple of questions. Number one, and it's a stupid question because we see it all the time. How are they going to get around the federal law that says illegal immigrants aren't allowed to have a firearm?
How they get? Well, you've broken federal law to get here,
yeah,
and then you're going to become a law. How can you enforce the law?
Yeah, agreed. And number two,
you're not enforcing. You're not telling.
What about the background checks?
Can't do them.
Yeah,
there is no background. They don't know who they are.
No. It's absolutely astounding to me how stupid we have become as a society. So yeah,
we're going down some crazy paths.
For the love of God, stay out of Washington State.
Yeah. Well, was it? Pittsburgh or Colorado? It was either Pennsylvania or Colorado. I want to say it was either Pittsburgh, Denver, something like that. They were going to use drones.
Drones. Yeah, that's right. When you call 911, they'll send a drone
to take video of the violent crime. They'll have video evidence of your death.
Yeah.
Won't nobody do nothing about it.
And I guarantee you that whatever city it was, I think it was Pittsburgh, you're not allowed to carry a gun to defend yourself.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, if you do pull a gun and defend yourself, that's when they'll send the actual cops out.
Popos out.
Because they got it on drone video.
Yeah.
This one does not surprise me at all. Between Trump and Biden, who's better to handle the border? Trump, 54%. Listen to this. Biden, 24%.
It ought to be a way higher. It ought to be 99%
to 0
to 1.
Yeah.
There's got to be one hole.
24% of the respondents think that Biden is best for the border. I want to know who these 24 idiots are.
I want to know. Yeah, I do. I would like to. Where are y'all living?
Yeah.
I mean, in what hole are you living? We're not even grossly affected in this area.
Yeah.
There's not migrant camps. There's not mass amounts of them on the streets. We are affected. Every part of the United States.
There's more of it than you realize.
No, I've seen
the city.
I've seen Wichita. I've seen in Wichita. I've seen groups that I suspect. I don't know, but I suspect. But it's not like you see on TV where we've just got it lined in the streets and but it's. I mean,
I do know of 2 camps.
But man, where are these people living that they think Biden is doing a jam up job?
He's doing a wonderful job. Did you hear? Oh my gosh, this is another thing I wanted to bring up. Karine Jean-Pierre,
the professional liar.
She is a professional speaker. That's what she does for a living.
Liar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know the circumstances behind it, but it was one of her press conferences, and it just made me laugh. This is a highly paid professional communicator. Whether she's good at it or not, that's what she does. And somebody had brought up something on something on the border, and this is a quote. This is a quote, Lloyd. I'm not making fun of her. This is a quote. She says, "Our goal is to make the border more fairer." More fairer. This past week.
Well,
there was an
I would like to see it get to the most is fair.
Most is fair.
I mean,
50 million times twice or more fair.
Yeah. Infinity to fair.
Did you?
Most is fair is better than more fair.
So this week in New York.
More fair to who?
Exactly.
The citizens of the United States.
Well, this week in New York, there was an Ecuadorian illegal immigrant that came across a 13-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl in a park. He pulled a machete on them, tied them together, and then raped the little girl.
Yep.
And this dude was wanted for murder in Ecuador.
And the citizens located him,
beat the snot out of him.
Identified him by a tattoo.
There is a video of an elderly woman beating this dude with a shoe.
I wish they'd have went further. They'd probably been in trouble.
I do too.
They'd probably been in trouble because once again, we the taxpayers are forced to pay for his everything.
Weekly, we hear about some illegal immigrant murdering some mother, and murdering some child, raping some child.
We hear professional liar,
Pierre
Truquion, but I don't even care.
More fair.
Miss More Fair, the professional liar, tell us that the crime is going down.
Yeah.
Yep. And that migrant crime is not a thing. Oh, now they got cheap fakes. Have you seen that?
I know it.
Not deep fake.
I know it.
Not deep fake.
Let's make up a new term to justify the fact that Biden is dribbling on himself, crapped his pants, and wandering off the stage.
Stopping and going, I've seen that look. I have kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
They stop right in the middle of play and everything. I don't care what they're doing.
Did you see the Juneteenth video?
Oh, yeah. Clay, that's not my music.
I have never in my life stood like this.
It's not my music. And
but you can't help but tap your toe.
That's right. I was just saying,
You
I'm not
can't
going to
help
get
it.
out there and shake it and drop it. Like, I don't even know how to dance to really that music. And
No.
it's not my favorite
But
music.
your foot's tapping.
But it's a
you
rhythm.
Can't help it.
There's a something to it.
Yeah.
And your head, you can't help but do a little head nod either.
Right.
And you know, I don't know. I'd put the old rock thing in it. I might get the head bang like, oh boy, got something going up there.
Right.
It's got a rhythm. It's got a beat. It is music.
He just had this blank look on his face, this weird grin,
Boy.
and his hands are 4 inches out in front of him. I don't understand. That he was not there in that moment. 2 people down or 3 people down from him, you got a dude with a beard and a sparkly dress, and George Floyd's brother standing right next to him.
You know, I watched Brandon Tatum.
I'm sorry. I got to bring it down a little bit.
Brandon Tatum. He does Officer Tatum.
Yeah, I know.
He's got a little podcast, and if y'all go follow him, he's fantastic.
He is.
He had a
not that it makes a difference, but so that our audience understands as you're about to share this story. Officer Tatum's a black man.
Yeah. He's a black conservative Christian.
Yep.
Oh Lord, what are we gonna do now? You know what?
Does that make him a white Christian nationalist?
I don't know, but I'd love to sit and visit with him.
I know it. I know.
Hours. But anyway, he had a woman on one of his shows, podcast shows, or whatever he does. I guess he does something similar to this. He's got a lot more fancy.
Yeah, I was going to say on a much bigger level.
Yeah. We're not comparing to you there, Officer Tatum. Anyway, she.
But we're colonels.
He's not a colonel. You're not a colonel. I'm Colonel Officer Tatum. Let's not forget. Anyway, she was talking about the actual crimes that are happening.
Yeah.
And what's going on and racism and this, that, and other. And she's like, we're killing each other.
Yeah.
She said, it's not the white man killing us.
No,
that's our scapegoat.
Yeah.
And she said, you know, you villainize the wrong people and you celebrate the wrong people.
Yeah.
She said everybody down in the hood knows who George Floyd is.
Yeah.
But do you know who the 85-year-old woman, the 93-year-old woman 2 doors down from me, or the elderly man and woman way over here? All of them.
Or the 4-year-old.
All of them were killed.
4-year-old in line in McDonald's.
All of them were killed
by young black men.
Young black men.
Yep.
The one she's talking about, they broke in, beat them to death.
Isn't that amazing?
Beat them to death.
And
she said, and nobody knows their name.
That's right.
Nobody.
That's right.
Where does your loyalty? She says, you got to start questioning yourself. Where are you going to stand? Nobody knows their name.
Right.
There are no parades. There are no statues. There's
golden casket.
There's no remembrance of anybody.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Right. Jesse Jackson did not show up at their funeral.
Nope. And she said, because you can't put a political stamp on it.
That's it.
It makes no difference. That should tell you something about the party that you've been voting for all your life.
Larry Elder, another black man, he's out of Los Angeles. He ran for the governor of California. Brilliant man, Larry Elder. He said here not too long ago, he said the most dangerous place on earth is living in the inner city as a young black man.
Yeah.
More dangerous than Beirut, Lebanon. Ukraine-Russia war. Trump 54, Biden 24.
Well,
you know, Trump says it, and I believe it. Trump says, had the 2020 election gone differently,
it never started.
Yeah, Putin would have never gone into Ukraine.
There's no way.
No.
There's no way.
Because Putin respected Trump.
That's it, man. You have an authority that has authority.
Yeah.
You got this doddering old man that we won't even press charges against. He's not competent to stand trial.
Who literally craps his pants on a daily basis in public. I'm sorry.
Dude, he's lost. I mean, me and Brandy were talking about this the other day. This is elderly abuse. The people
absolutely.
The people that are toting him around are horrible human beings.
Yeah.
Horrible. It's not his fault. And I'm not being funny.
No, I agree.
I don't agree with Biden's policies, and I don't agree with Biden's politics from all the time he was young and on up through.
And I'm going to say Biden has never been a good guy.
No.
He's been a criminal and
He's
corrupt
been
politician
shady.
his entire life. He's a
And
liar.
that's why I've never been no kind of fan of him. But all this what's going on in the last year, it's not his fault.
No.
Not his fault at all.
He's not even there.
Man, there's no light on.
No.
There's none.
No.
And they juice him up with something. I would love to see a drug test.
Yeah, oh,
I would love to see a blood analysis.
Yeah, like the State of the Union.
Yeah.
We are 6 days away from the first presidential debate.
That is going to be money, man. Is it going to happen?
Is it? Is it? Because here's the thing.
I know there's a huge amount of restrictions and stuff on it. And they got it.
If Joe Biden doesn't throw up in his mouth and fall over, just trip and fall over, the liberal media are going to just fawn all over him. What a wonderful job he did, and he mopped up the floor with Donald Trump.
Sure, it'll be fun. It's always fun. Yeah. Let me ask you this: what are the chances that? And I've heard this spoke of. I'm not just talking out of my tail end.
Yeah.
What are the chances that Biden steps down before the debate?
Well, all right. So there's a couple of pundits that I've been listening to. I always listen to. You know who Clay Travis is?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, they took over for Rush Limbaugh after his death. They've been talking about this, and Clay Travis has a really interesting theory. First of all, never before in the history of presidential politics have we had a debate this early on. Donald Trump's not even the official nominee yet. We haven't had the Republican National Convention yet, and so it's really early to be having a debate. What Clay Travis says is this is the Democrat Party putting Biden out there early enough that if he absolutely blows this, then they can pull in a replacement.
I don't think it's an if. I think it's to fail.
Yeah.
I think it's to fail.
Interesting.
I do. I think it's...
we live in unprecedented times.
Oh, we do. But Clay,
on every face.
No matter how the media spins it, they won't be able to deny if he just completely blows it, dude.
Right.
Or he just has an absolute meltdown. Trump asks or says the wrong thing that sets him off. We've seen Biden just go off. And all Trump's got to do is bring the laptop up.
Yeah.
And Biden's going to have a meltdown. Didn't you say in our last debate?
Just look at him and say, how's Hunter doing?
Yeah, in our last debate, didn't you? And, now it's been brought into federal court. I guess it was real.
Yeah.
You
lied.
You and your 51 people that you put up there lied.
Right.
And Biden,
all coordinated by a fellow by the name of Tony Blinken, who's now our Secretary of State.
And Biden would lose control because he can't respond.
You would hope
to that.
so.
He can't respond to it. He can't collectively respond to that. He can't come up with
off the cuff,
any type of argument that would articulate any kind of word.
My butt's been wiped. Well, have you seen that video?
No.
Oh my God, you really?
No.
He's. Oh gosh, I got to find it for you. Joe Biden is coming off the tarmac, and some reporter asks him a question, and I don't know what he says, but I promise you, it sounds like he says, "My butt's been wiped."
Oh, that's a strong president.
I'm telling you, I'm going to find that video for you. Look at the next one. Hamas-Israel war. 44% Trump, 32% Biden. Now, that's interesting. Why is that so close?
I don't
Because
know.
Biden has nothing negative to say about Hamas, but he's trying to keep Israel from fighting for their...
That's another one that I don't think would have kicked off if Trump
No, of course not. Absolutely agree.
I just don't, because Trump, they know how Trump feels about Israel. First off, and Trump would have we would have just wiped them off.
And there are still over 100 hostages being held, whether dead or alive, by Hamas, and some of them are still Americans.
And
we have Americans that are hostages.
And our government's sending them aid.
And the female hostages that have been released, the
horror stories
that they tell.
And dude, how much did that dock cost us? $300 million, and we used it for...
In the first storm, it blew away.
Well, and we have to dismantle it too, because of the change of seasons. They have to take it apart and move it, and then put it back. What's that? What's the Josh guy? Congressman. Oh, Haley. No, Josh something.
Oh no,
I don't know. Anyway, I went blank. He's one of my faves.
Yeah.
He's from Missouri.
Keep going.
Anyway, yeah.
You're freezing up like Biden right now.
Hold on. But
not in my house.
God, what?
Keep going.
I lost it, man.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look at the last one on the list. This one does not surprise me, sadly. Between Trump and Biden, who's better to handle the issue of abortion? 33% Trump, 44% Biden. Because there's a segment of our society that wants to slaughter children no matter how old they are.
That's it.
That's it.
You know what? I see that. And, you know,
it's awful. It is absolutely awful.
They've painted it to be women's rights. And
women's health care.
Well, and it's a woman's right.
Right.
And then you start taking away rights. And all of a sudden you have this pushback. You know, well, wait a minute. If that's my right, I don't want you to be able, even if I'm not going to get an abortion, I want to have the right. You can't take my rights away.
Exactly.
We've painted it in such a wrong picture. It's not. It's painted. It should be painted exactly what it is, and it's the death of a child.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Nothing else.
No, it's not anybody's right to kill anybody. So that's what you're voting for. You're voting for the ability to kill kids. Period. But circumstances be damned. What happens is a child loses its life. Is this it?
I can't believe you haven't come across that.
I have not. I have not. I'd have watched that. If I'd have came across that last night in the truck, I'd have watched that thing
repeatedly. On repeat.
Repeatedly. I know exactly word for word.
My butt's been wiped.
The reporter had something about reconciliation or something. I don't know what she was talking about, but
so
yeah, he's it's a good thing because he probably crapped his pants earlier.
Yep. All right, so something local that happened over the last 2 days.
Okay.
There is a local business. It's called Margie's Bakery and Deli. Are you familiar with this?
I am very familiar with that.
Okay.
They
so Margie's Bakery and Deli.
I used to work not far from that.
Right.
And I would go in the morning, and they got cinnamon rolls.
Yep.
That will
make your tongue slap your brains out.
Man, make your eyes water. These things are so good. Oh my God, good. And it doesn't matter if you eat them fresh.
Right.
If you wait 4 hours and eat them, it doesn't matter. You drop it. 5 second rule, nothing. If that fell out of my truck and rolled down the hill, I'm chasing it.
Well, Margie's Bakery posted on their Facebook. They made these frosted cookies, and they said MAGA on them.
Outstanding.
Well,
I'm loving it.
Yeah,
Trump
absolutely.
2024.
Absolutely. They had MAGA. And by the way, for those that aren't familiar with the area or don't know Margie's Bakery, the owners of Margie's Bakery are bought and paid for Christians. They are solid believers. They run their business on.
And they make a deli sandwich at lunch.
Yeah.
I want one now.
Yeah.
I want one now.
Well,
I'm not kidding, man.
They posted a picture of these MAGA cookies, and the internet went absolutely.
The interweb,
stupid.
you almost said it.
Yeah, I did. It went absolutely stupid.
Everybody's offended.
Antifa came out, hundreds and hundreds of comments about how you're disrespecting the LGBTQ and this, that, and the other, and free Palestine and all this other stuff. People from Chicago and San Francisco and New York are commenting on a post for a bakery in Wichita Falls, Texas.
If they ever ate the cinnamon rolls, they wouldn't care what they voted.
It got so bad that Margie's had to shut off their rating system on Facebook because people from Chicago and all these other places are giving them 1-star reviews and talking about there's bugs in the kitchen. And They started hammering them on Google and Yelp and giving
Just
them
hate.
1-star reviews.
Just hate.
Michael, the guy that owns the place, has received death threats for him and his family because of a cookie.
And the cookies weren't even political.
No, because it was a play on words.
Right, did say MAGA.
Yeah, it did say MAGA.
People like me,
Margie's great again, and he capitalized the A in Margie's.
Right, and people like me would be like, I'm buying it because it says MAGA, and I know Margie's, and it got to be good.
Yeah,
I don't care. It's got to be good. If it comes out, if it's there and available to buy, it's good.
So all of that happened on Tuesday. Tuesday evening, our boss calls me, and she says, dress like you would normally dress for work, but bring a Trump shirt and hat with you. We're going to Margie's tomorrow.
Oh, man.
And so she had her Trump shirt on. Jenica was wearing one of my Trump hats that I make. She had that on. I had my Trump hat as a matter of fact, the one that was given to me as a gift, it's normally here.
Yeah.
It's in the truck because we're going back to Margie's again today. I had my Trump shirt, my Trump hat, open carrying, and we were standing in there, and it's hilarious. Lloyd, that place was packed. They told us behind the counter. Yesterday was the biggest day they've ever had business-wise.
See, and I've gone in there late.
Yeah.
And they'd be out of stuff.
Yeah.
And wow, that's great.
And
that is fantastic.
And I will tell you,
that's because love beats hate.
I'll tell you, about 70% of the people that came through the door in the 40 minutes that we were in there was wearing either Trump or red, white, and blue something.
Patriotic.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Patriotic.
And so we our community came out in massive support of this this bakery. And then on top of that, of course, we all got online and gave positive reviews.
I need to
try and counteract that. And by the way, if you're watching this, go to Google, search for Margie's Bakery, even whether you've been there or not.
Don't listen to him. Man, if you don't live in the area, do that. But if you live in this area, don't cheat yourself out of a trip to Margie's.
No, absolutely.
Man, go down there and get it for breakfast.
Get online and give them a positive review. What's funny is when I logged in to give them a review on Google, they were at like 3.2 stars because of
the negative hate.
The last time I looked at it, it was like 4.7.
That'll work.
People have shown up for these folks. Yeah, not Caulfield Road. Yeah, it is. No,
Caulfield Road.
Yeah, it's Caulfield Road. Yeah. Margie's Bakery on Caulfield Road. If you live anywhere near Wichita Falls, it's worth a trip.
If you live in the Lawton area, it's worth a trip. It's not that far.
True enough.
What's Lawton from?
An hour from here.
Hour from here. So I mean, that's not far. I've driven to Lawton to eat.
Yeah.
To Mears.
A few times. Man.
Old Mears Burger.
That
brings back some good memories.
I know it, man. I know it. For those that aren't around here, there's all right, this gets funny. We have an area. It's in Oklahoma. It's on the other side of Lawton, Oklahoma, and it's called the Witchita Mountains. Now,
it's so big, it's giant. It's massive. The weather changes up top. It does. The weather changes.
All right, my brother's being slightly facetious. Wichita Mountains are not mountains. It's a pile of rocks.
It's giant.
Anyone who's ever been to the mountains see that and just kind of giggle under their breath.
Right.
But it's what we've got. That's our version of the Rocky Mountains.
Somebody, not us, somebody long ago named it.
Yeah.
It's Wichita Mountains.
Yeah. I remember the old man used to say, that ain't a mountain, that's a pimple on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But we'd go up there all the time.
Yep.
And it is a beautiful area.
Beautiful.
It's a wildlife preserve. There's elk and buffalo and longhorn cattle and prairie dogs
out the gazoo.
And so you drive through the Wichita Mountains and you exit on the other side.
The Holy City.
Yep.
And if you go at the right time of year, there's a lot of rattlesnakes.
Oh, yeah. A lot of them. You drive through the park, you go out the other side, and you pop into a town called Mears. And there is a restaurant in Mears, Oklahoma.
They got their own seismograph.
Yeah, they do.
They do. actual hooked up to the whatnot with the
This restaurant has been there probably. I think Lewis and Clark stopped there and got a burger on their way through.
I do, yeah.
It's been there a long time.
Been there a minute,
and much like a lot of the locally owned beef places around here. McBride's Land and Cattle is the same way. Mears has their own herd of cattle.
Yeah. They grow their own.
Yeah, and so when you go in there,
organic as it all gets. They grow and butcher their own stuff.
That's right. They say, and their hamburgers are so big around that they can't buy buns, so they make their own hamburger buns, and they're literally. They bring it out to you on a pie tin. And that burger fills up the entire pie tin. They have to bring you a basket of fries because they can't fit it on the plate.
No.
And good food. Now, if you go to Mears, understand you're going to be standing in line for about an hour and a half to get a table.
you need to get to Mears
about 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 10,
and you're still going to stand in line.
10:30 at the latest.
And you're still going to stand in line.
Yeah, but it won't be as long.
Right.
But if you get there and think you're going to show up at noon,
cobbler.
Oh man, boy.
How many situations can you think of where you can look at somebody and say one word and instantly watch them salivate?
Yeah, boy. Immediate
that cobbler. Yeah, it's cauliflower cobbler. You haven't heard of that? That cobbler with the homemade ice cream on top.
Boy.
Oh my goodness. See, I don't even eat sweets and carbs and all that anymore, but I sure remember when I did.
Well, I would eat, if it was right here right now, I would eat mine and yours.
Oh, I'm telling you, man.
And enjoy every bite of it.
Yep. Talking about more fairer.
More fairer. Is that like, is she talking about some of these? More fair?
Oh,
she needs more of these.
Yeah, more Pharaoh rods.
That's
right.
She's trying to spark a fire.
There you go, man.
She's a survivalist.
She's something. She's something. Oh, good.
I hear that that AOC has got some Republican competition.
Yeah,
in her seat.
Good.
And
she needs that.
I hear from the polls that it's not looking good for her.
Wow.
But you know, what has she done?
Not a
thing. For her district.
Not a thing. Makeup tutorials on TikTok.
She did.
That's about it.
She did something for her district.
Yeah, she ran off Amazon.
She chased off 3,500 jobs. Man, she ought to move to California with that kind of accomplishment.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
She fit right in. Gavin Newsom and his scam on the homeless. You seen this business?
I have not. Clue me in.
They have $80 billion that they've spent on this homeless.
Oh, yeah.
And they're buying these tiny houses.
Mm-hmm.
They're selling them back to the taxpayers for $833,000
a piece for these sheds that have insulation in them.
A guy he filmed them, and then he went and did a little research. You can buy a better tiny home off Amazon,
right?
For $2,300.
$2,300? $100.
$2,300. Two little zeros behind that 23. And it's a better quality, more insulated area than what they put these people in are supposed to.
Yeah.
And he showed the area where it's at, where these homes are, and there's nobody there. There's homes there.
Yeah.
It's all fenced in. There's nobody there. It almost looks like an internment camp coming up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No doubt.
But
might be.
They're selling them back to the taxpayers at $833,000.
Wow. And the Democrats want him in the White House.
And they got plans. They're trying to pass another, spending bill. They got plans for 12 more units at $833,000 a piece. A piece. And you can buy the same thing.
Dang near $1 million for a shed.
For a $2,300 shed.
Yeah. Golly.
And I know our world. How would that community? Dude, I don't know. Probably prefab, like you would, you buy
it's a kit.
Yeah.
And you put it together when it shows up.
Yeah. I know our communities, not our world. I misspoke.
Yeah.
Our communities, just like the Margie thing.
Yeah.
If the K-Love Cross.
Yeah.
I know our communities.
Yeah.
If somebody was to be able to, if our city was able to buy $2,300
Yes.
tiny homes,
Yeah.
there's electricians and plumbers, and
Mhm.
I'm one of them. I'm a worker, one of them that would go down and volunteer their time
Yeah.
to hook these things up
Absolutely.
and get them
Absolutely.
operational.
Absolutely.
And there's
Yeah.
concrete hands, and there's people that's leveled houses that would go and do this.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't cost the taxpayers
A
nothing
dime.
but the initial cost of the home.
Yeah.
The initial 23 or let's say $3,000 each.
Yeah.
The initial cost of that is what the taxpayers would be afoot for.
That's it.
And then the upkeep of those homes, if you're going to maintain them as a city,
Right.
what they ought to do is give them.
Yeah.
And now you're a homeowner.
Right.
You're off the streets and you're a homeowner.
Yeah.
And this is your home.
Take care of it.
And you can live in this tiny community.
Yeah.
In this tiny home, as long as you want to.
Right.
And and treat them just like every other homeowner in the county. But to charge the taxpayers a profit,
right,
to gain a profit off,
well,
the taxpayers bought it to begin with.
California's broke. They are flat broke.
And they, what? Before he went in office, they had a surplus. A surplus of $100 million.
Yep. Well, look at San Francisco. And San Francisco itself has a multi-$100 million surplus, and yet they are still just bleeding their citizens dry in taxes. They've got one of the highest tax rates in the nation.
You heard the newest tax? Have you ever dealt with insurance companies and gotten mileage reimbursement?
Yes.
That can add up pretty quick.
Yeah.
And in California, they're making you buy an electric car.
Right.
That ruins their tax money they were getting off fuel.
Right.
Now you're not purchasing fuel, so you're no longer contributing to the tax drain for the fuel.
Right.
So now they want to charge people that drive electric cars 30 cents a mile.
Oh, gosh.
You know how fast that adds up? And you're living this is California.
Yeah.
We're not living in Boston where it's that big.
Right. No. When I lived in San Diego, I drove a lot of miles, man.
You had to,
everywhere you go.
Talk to Sean and to go somewhere. Yeah, it's a trip. Yeah. It's an adventure.
Yeah, it's a 40 mile trip. Go to, the mall or wherever.
And on top of that, if you want to go anywhere to do anything in California, you got to drive.
Yeah.
I mean, California's huge.
Yeah.
That's a long stretch. 30 cents a mile. A family trip, a vacation, could cost you thousands in just mileage fees.
Just in the mileage fees. It's insane.
And then if you all want to do a little more of the digging into the old stupid hole, how much does it cost to power one of these up in one of them mobile stations? How many hours does it take?
Right.
And how much does it cost? The people that are sitting there waiting for hours at just tremendous cost.
Go back to your family vacation. Let's say you're planning a family vacation. 1976. We talked about it last week.
Yep.
Imagine the amount of time that you have to budget out of your vacation just to charge up your vehicle,
and where you have to drive.
Where
your vacation takes you.
Yeah, you've got to you have to map out where these charging stations are.
The way
or you're going to have to call one of those recovery vehicles that comes
runs
out
on
with a
diesel.
gas generator.
Yeah. And what does that cost? What does that cost?
Yeah.
What does it cost to come rescue an electric vehicle? That guy's going to be tied up for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know how long. I don't drive an electric vehicle. I know that I got an electric bike.
Well, I'm sure he probably doesn't fully charge you. He gets you up to 20% so you can get to the charging station, but still, you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that.
It depends on where you're broke down.
Right.
How far is the next charging station?
Yeah.
Do I have to give this guy 20% that's going to take an hour to do? Or do I got to give him 40% because he's an extra, or he went a wrong route?
Yep.
And now he's lost, and he's like, I didn't realize, I forgot I was an electric car.
I
didn't know the mileage. I didn't know how many miles per amp I could get, or whatever. I don't know. There's so many variables in that.
Yeah.
And it can't be free.
I think that if you drive an electric car, I'm less government. I want the government out of my business.
Absolutely.
But having said that, I will accept this regulation. If you drive an electric car, you should be required to charge it using only wind or solar.
That's it.
That's it. Because you don't get the virtue signal with your little Tesla symbol on the back of your car while you're using a coal-powered
generator or
power plant
station,
to charge it up.
Well, and they're already talking about, this summer is going to be rough in California. They say that every summer, and there's going to be rolling brownouts and blackouts.
They're calling for that here in Texas.
Oh,
they're saying we're going to have rolling brownouts and blackouts here in Texas.
And if we continue to put electric cars on our grid, it just continues to stress the already stressed infrastructure,
ancient
so old. Yes.
And let's go back to several podcasts ago. We have an ancient, failing, overstressed, unprotected power grid.
Man, we are so vulnerable in that area.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of ex-military people talk about exactly that.
Yeah.
And in an operation,
if I were invading a country,
one of the things you need to do is disrupt their communications and power.
Absolutely.
And then supplies.
Absolutely.
Well, communications and power is first.
Yeah.
Then supplies.
Well, here's the thing. If you interrupt communication, you're already starting to interrupt supplies.
Right, because they can't communicate.
Exactly.
I need more stuff. But, a savvy somebody can say, we still need to send them something, continue. But that supply line, that's on down the list a little bit.
Yeah.
But you knock out that communication and that power.
Right.
And, man, you're ahead of the game.
Sitting duck.
You're ahead of the game. Now the next thing is, your supply line, and you cut them off.
Yeah.
And you can literally you don't have to go put boots on the ground. You don't have to invade. You cut them off.
Yeah.
Turmoil is going to start amongst them.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be nuts. And
within
hours. We're not talking about you cut off a military regiment that's trained.
Right.
You cut off citizens, communities.
Civilians.
Right.
Yeah.
That have no idea how to handle these situations. And it would be chaos in hours.
Absolutely. Well, hours. You look at the times that we've had power losses in major cities, and it devolves very quickly.
Very quick. And any kind of shortages.
Yeah.
Whether it's power or whatever. And let's talk about some of that, dude. This Idaho.
Oh my gosh. I have no explanation.
I don't either. Except that there's
it's a lithium plant. Cobalt mining.
Yeah. This and our military's involved in it.
Yep.
Australia's involved in it.
For those that don't know what we're talking about, real quick, the state of Idaho,
the governor has called for a water shutoff to over 500,000 acres.
Yeah, that has already been planted.
And these people that plant this, they're not millionaires.
No, they're farmers. These are men and women,
dirt poor farmers.
And for those that aren't familiar with how farming works, let me jump in here real quick with just a little kind of educational moment. Farming is all done on credit.
Yes, you're counting on a crop.
When it comes time for planting season, you borrow money to put your crops in. You purchase crop insurance just in case that doesn't work out so you can break even. And then you don't get paid until harvest time. And then you pay back the money that you borrowed. And so you have the profit, and then next season you do it all over again. So these farmers have literally leveraged themselves and their land.
Yes,
because that's your collateral for the loan.
You own.
And they've already planted all of these fields of potatoes, and now all of a sudden the government is saying you're not allowed to water your crops.
And if they don't water it, the plants will fail. The crops will fail.
And not only does that, a baked potato is going to cost you $47.
It's going to affect more than just the farmers. You think of all the workers. Let's start at the farmer.
The whole economy is going to suffer from this.
Start at that farmer.
Yeah.
And then when the farmer
that
he employs people to harvest it.
He buys fuel.
That's right. Vehicles that haul it. There's fuel that gets done. There's men and women that accept it and weigh it and get it in, and then they process it. They send it off to then there's another set of truck drivers that distribute it all across America.
Right.
And that's what we eat, and it won't be there.
Nope.
But don't worry.
But we'll have cobalt.
Don't worry. The government is here to help.
That's right. That's
and
right.
That's
with that lab-grown meat.
I think that's part of it, dude, is that the government wants us to be more dependent.
Florida just passed a law that it is now illegal for lab-grown meat to be sold or consumed or possessed in the state of Florida.
It ought to be that way everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. There's a reason why Bill Gates has bought up so much farmland. And
Him and China.
Invested so heavily in lab-grown meat.
Yep.
You can put anything in lab-grown meat.
It's coming down the pike, man.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Tons of this stuff.
Old timer, there's so much more we could talk about, but our time is up.
Is it really, man?
It really is. It
We're
really
flying
is.
Today, man.
Hit them with your tagline on, man.
Dude, man, I'm going to get this wrong. Are we bad overtime?
We got a couple of minutes.
I want to get this right, and I think I did save it.
Oh, well, while you're looking that up, let me tell our viewers, if you as always, if you like what you see, we certainly would appreciate like, comment, subscribe, share. The algorithm does not like our podcast, and so you can help push it out to other folks by liking and subscribing and sharing and commenting. And we sure do appreciate each and every one of y'all that tune into this. I know we got some regulars, and every now and again we pick up some new folks, and it's just a blast. I love doing this, and I'm glad that
I can't find it. Anyway, there's a guy, and he had a stroke, and he had to learn how to. He was pretty diligent. I saw him. It hammered him.
Yeah,
and he had to learn how to do things. He's in a wheelchair. He had to learn how to do things with his left hand, and he was right-handed.
Yeah.
And his family helped him start a little business, and it said, everybody's going through a struggle that you don't know anything about.
That's right. That's right.
And he handwrites it with the shirt design is his, and he handwrites it with his left hand.
Right.
And he's getting better and better. And then he sends each order with a thank you note that he's handwritten.
Oh, wow.
And it's just awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Cool.
And I watched that video, and I watched it several times.
Sure.
And it just
because it's personal to you.
Yeah, and it just reminds me of that. Just take time to be kind, because you just don't know. Everybody, we're all struggling with something.
Right.
We're all something that's got us upset, or it's not going our way, or it's troubling us, or we're having to deal with,
100%.
Something.
Yeah.
And even though there's a smile on these people's faces, they're not always happy behind that smile. And you never know what your small act of kindness will do. You just don't know.
I was the reason I'm laughing about that is you last several months, man, my job, it's been insane. I love what I do. It has been insane. My schedule has been nuts. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. I've got a pile this high on my desk that's due tomorrow. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Everything needs to be done yesterday.
Right now. And I left the office yesterday, and I was headed to the church because it was Wednesday evening. And as I rounded the corner, I said, "All right, Clay, get yourself together and put a smile on your face. It's time to go."
There you go.
And so, like you said, you see somebody with a big old grin on their face. You don't know what's going on underneath the surface, man.
That's it. We're to kind of do that.
That's right.
And especially men.
Put on your best face.
Especially men.
That's right.
They talk about men sharing feelings. It's not what we do.
No.
Not what we do. It says, yeah, but don't you got a lot of burden? You worried about the family and providing. You know what? That's what we do. And that's what we do.
And my feelings are not anyone else's business
or problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely,
they're just not. But anyway, take time to be kind for no reason.
That's right.
Just be nice. That's
right.
Buy somebody's lunch that's behind you that you don't know.
Yeah.
Walk into a restaurant, and as you're walking out, go tell the waitress, "Hey, I want those people's table. I want that ticket."
Yeah.
And just something.
And
you don't have to spend money. Ask somebody how their day is.
Yeah. Well, Mindy and I were out working.
I would say open the door for somebody, but that's offensive.
They'll get yelled at. Yeah. Mindy and I were out working. It was last week, and it was past lunchtime. I generally eat lunch about 3:30 in the afternoon because been busy.
I ate breakfast last night.
You eat when you can.
I ate breakfast last night at 10 p.m.
So we stopped at this restaurant. I don't even remember where it was, and had a very young waitress, and she was so attentive, so good, and so friendly. And so we got done with our meal, and I went over and found the manager, and I said, "Hey, man, I got to tell you, that waitress that we had was phenomenal. She was fantastic." And he looked at me. He goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "She was out of this world good." And he says, "Huh? Today's her first day, and she's never had a serving job before."
she's hey, she's a good girl. Way to go, kid. Hey, my little diner that I eat at every other Friday, which is tomorrow, they're not open tomorrow. No, they got a sign on the door, closed, because we can't find nobody that wants to work.
Yep. Sure enough,
they closed the diner because they can't find people to work.
So many restaurants in Wichita Falls have reduced their hours. I mean, the Branding Iron now closes at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Wow!
Because they can't find help. And by the way, they're no longer open on Monday or Tuesday.
Wow!
Yeah.
Just sad times.
It's getting rough out there, folks. God bless you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in as always, and Lord willing, we'll see you next Thursday.
There you go.
Lift your head.